Okay, so I am here this morning talking to Jenny Gapp, and she is the teacher librarian at Peninsula K-8 school. So, Jenny, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people how you got to the position you're in now?
All right. So, Jenny Gapp, I'm a teacher librarian, and I subscribe to the notion that the library is a growing organism, and so I'm not much interested in contemplating whether my job title is semantically relevant. This is my second year at Peninsula K-8 school in North Portland, and this year I'm technically half-time technology teacher and half-time teacher librarian, but to me they're really one and the same thing. And I'm also serving currently as the site technology coordinator and the webmaster. And so prior to Peninsula, I spent 1 year at a private high school in Beaverton and 1 year at Sabin K-8 with Portland Public in Northeast, and then 5 years at a rural middle school east of Salem.
Great. So, tell me about one innovative way that technology is being used in your school.
Well, I'm super excited about the media arts class that I've been teaching with my middle school students. And last summer, I went to a conference up in the Gorge and learned all about Scratch. And so this year, I'm focusing on how to, or teaching them on how to create their own games using this computer programming tool called Scratch. And it was developed by a team of people at MIT to introduce programming concepts to K-12 students. And it's a free download. Anyone can download it with internet access, and it really excels at teaching logic to students and builds on math concepts like degrees and x-y coordinates and variables. And I'm not a math person, and I totally get it, and it's very awesome. And it's important to think about like real-world programming languages like Ruby and Python are being predicted to be like the new foreign language that students will need to be competitive in future job markets. And so I think Scratch emphasizes in an excellent way user creativity and user-generated content, the users being our students. And ultimately, we want our students to be the ones that are innovating, and Scratch provides an excellent platform to do that.
And so, tell me again, it is free, right? And so anybody can download it if they're interested in using it.
Absolutely, yeah. And they're coming out with a new version soon, which I'm very excited about.
Cool. I haven't spent much time playing around with it, but I know a lot of people really love it and use it with their students, so I'll have to spend some time checking it out. So what is one awesome thing that's happening in your building with teaching and learning?
Well, it's really, the one thing is really, I think, a series of small things. Teachers are slowly and steadily building their skills and their confidence and experimenting with the use of technology tools. And they're able to do that because our principal values technology as a learning tool, first off, and he's hired certified professionals to facilitate this in learning 21st century media tools. A couple of quick examples, we have an itinerant middle school math teacher who's been using fraction apps on the iPad to increase understanding. And as I mentioned, I was quite the terrible math student myself, and I immediately appreciated how much more visual these apps were, and it's just like, oh, of course, that makes so much sense. I wish I had this when I was going to school learning math.
Yep.
And a second quick example would be our fourth grade teacher who's been using iMovie to also kind of emphasize mathematical skills, and they're learning about roller coasters, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him in great detail, but I know things like speed and velocity, and iMovie provides kind of a platform to be able to slow things down and take still frames and like really get into the content.
That's great. All right, what's one challenge or need that you see in your building right now?
Number one would be additional planning and collaboration time, and I really miss our tech cadre that we used to have, which we had some amazing people, you know, in the district that are doing awesome things and like just gaining inspiration, and then the tools that you would share with us. I really miss that time. And even within our buildings, like the first half of the year, I led a voluntary professional development with our teachers and improving like their basic technology tool, you know, like how to use their laptop. There's some basic things that I think behooves all of us to kind of have underhand. And So that was great, but I've kind of fallen off the wagon recently just due to other demands on my time. And as it was, I would have like maybe 4 to 5 teachers show up for each session, and then more who were always apologetic about not being there. And I'm like, it's okay, you have, an overwhelming amount of demands on your time, and sadly, oftentimes, integrating technology effectively kind of becomes one of a long list that teachers are trying to grapple with. So planning time.
Okay.
And collaboration.
Yep.
Continues to be a struggle.
I think those are struggles at a lot of other places as well.
Yeah. I guess the one thing I would add to that is I'm also the person in charge of scheduling our labs, and I think we're lucky at this school. I don't think all of Portland Public Schools have the tools that we do have here at Peninsula. We have 3 mobile laptop labs, and we have a dedicated hardwired computer lab in addition to these set of 10 iPads that we just got. But in scheduling all of that, we still are finding, oh, sorry, you can't, use the lab right now because it's already been scheduled, or we're just entering the testing season, and that blocks out, pretty much the entire usage of our hardwired lab altogether during oak season. So.
Yep. Okay, is there a professional article, book, or a person to follow that you would recommend?
I have a couple of authors. My absolute favorite as kind of a crash course into this whole kind of learning in the 21st century and integrating technology would be The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. It was a finalist in 2011 for a Pulitzer in general nonfiction. And he really succeeds at providing kind of a balanced, this is what's scientifically happening in our brains when we're using the internet or we're, putting ourselves into the wired environment. And he doesn't come down in any kind of heavy-handed way on one side or the other, which I think some of the discussion out there does. And so I like it for the fact that it's pretty balanced. And it's not for better or worse. It's just here's what's happening in our brains, and also I think it's important to consider what we miss if we completely turn our backs on more traditional things like slow reading. I'm taking a reading comprehension class right now, and we are reading this book by Thomas Newkirk, which I'd also recommend. It's called The Art of Slow Reading, and it provides an excellent balance, and in fact references Carr's book about the importance of developing and maintaining those traditional comprehension strategies and mental focus, and of course in a wired world our mental focus is often just scattered in many different places, and it's he makes a great case for the value of even memorization, which sometimes we as technology leaders we kind of scoff at, but I think more accurately than memorization, what we're really getting at with our students as teachers is internalization. And if internalization is improved by using different technology tools, then we're not turning our back on traditional skills at all.
Great. I just put that book on my hold list at the Multnomah County Library. So last question, is there anything else you'd like to add or any events going on at Peninsula that you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, let's see. We always have events going on at Peninsula. Check out our webpage for upcoming events. And we have things like literacy nights periodically throughout the year. And we are defining literacy as a pretty broad thing. We always have kind of maybe a computer aspect to that. Your literacy is not just reading and writing. It's literate in visual literacy, art literacy, media literacy. And I guess as a closing statement, I would say that students are only digital natives in that they're growing up during a time when technology on the market has just exploded and continues to explode. And students, like the rest of us, fall easily into being consumers and getting excited about the latest version of the iPhone or the iPad. But when it comes to being creators of content using technology, they still need us, teachers, to guide them. And of course, we as teachers are also students of technology and are constantly improving ourselves. So.
Great. Well, thanks for joining me for this interview, Jenny, and I'll let you know when it gets posted.
All right. Thanks so much, Melissa.
All right.